Hey everybody, and welcome to the Eon Quest Kickstarter video update number 3. This one's going to be the long-promised look at the Captain Wolf Moon action figure, which has quickly become a favorite of a lot of people. So let's go ahead and jump right into the figure focus for Captain Wolf Moon. So I described the development of Captain Wolf Moon in a fair amount of detail on my blog, which is on eonquest.com. Just hit the blog tab. It's one of the very first entries, and you can find a little more depth there. But to summarize it a bit, Captain Wolf Moon basically was just a combination of different things I thought was cool, in an effort to try to capture some of the old feeling of the Masters of the Universe line and other lines from the 80s. Some people have called it maybe sort of Thundercats-ish, which I can definitely see because of the anthropomorphic animal character. And there's definitely a little bit of a Trapjaw vibe to him as well, I suppose, with the pirate look going on. One thing that was really important to me, though, to try to capture too there was an actual peg leg and a sort of parrot in the form of Dragot. And I think, for the most part, I think he's probably one of the most successful designs, just from a pure design standpoint, in the line. And it's been really great to see people react so positively to him. So we actually have a couple things to show you this time, because I did a few more versions of Captain Wolf Moon. Here you can see the very first 3D print of Captain Wolf Moon. But you can see, basically how Captain Wolf Moon started out there. All his parts were printed, and one thing that's really nice too is you can really see some of the detail on some of these pieces here. But that was where we began. 3D print of Captain Wolf Moon, Wolf Saber, Dragot, removable hook hand, and then we had our very first factory prototype, which everyone's familiar with. A couple things I just want to point out here with this in particular is that a lot of people have been talking about whether he would stand well or not with his peg leg, but he is designed to stand very well. As you can see, I can kind of shake the desk a little bit and he wobbles just like any other figure would, but he does stay standing. And that's because of the way that this leg is designed. As you can see, it's not a straight up peg leg, actually. It's a little bit of a, I guess, a slant there. So when he stands quite firmly. A couple things that have changed with the final prototype, or the next prototype that I'll be showing you shortly. So his sword, right now I just kind of wedged his sword in there for the pictures and things. But it's meant for this hilt part of the saber to actually be over his hand. And one of the things that we noticed in production was that this is actually kind of tight. He can't really get it over his hand all the way. So that's been fixed. I'll show you that in a second. The other thing is, just like with Uplink, he's going to have his armor clasp right here. But that was just too weak, especially when you turned his waist. It would just pop out a lot. And then, when you want to put the Wolf Moon sword, in there, like so. It was just another way of popping it out. So that's been fixed, and those have been moved to the back. But other than that, he has got his, standard robot arm here. The hook does come off here. It can be replaced with other weapons if you'd like from some of the other figures. And that's your basic first prototype. And of course, this hinge joint, which is also very wobbly, that is gone on the final prototype. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Okay, so here we go. We've got our final, or close to final, Captain Wolf Moon prototype figure. One of the things you can see right away that's been fixed is the height. So the height before was closer to almost 6 inches on these figures. And that was because the legs were too long. You can see there's actually a pretty dramatic difference there between the leg heights. So this is much closer to a 5.5 inch action figure that you're familiar with. The head just goes back and forth now. None of the hinge joint, so you don't have that ugly joint there. And then his saber here, which fits in nicely into his holster. Kind of show you that. His saber is much wider now. So if I take a comparison of this to the very first printout sword, you can see the difference there. It's pretty dramatic. Actually, I'll hold it by the blade. There you go. So it'll fit in his hand much, much better now. And one of the issues that I do have with the current prototype I'm going to have to work with the factory is this peg is not quite big enough, so it's sort of, I had to put a little sticky tack in there to hold it, but that will be fixed for the final figure. So one of the differences in the back here is between this and the way Uplink works is that these pegs go into the back versus the pegs being in the back and then them clipping outward. And I may change that. They tried to do it this way to maintain the sculpt on the back of the belt, which is cool, but the strength of it as you turn the waist is not, it holds, as you can see, it just has a lot of flex, so I'd be worried in production about that not working as well as it does here. So well, see, there you go. So I think we'll fix that to try to update it. And well, that's pretty much it. I mean, that's the new prototype. As you can see, with updated legs, he's much more in scale with the vintage He-Man figures. Be cool battling him. So that is Captain Wolfmoon. Of course, I couldn't let this end without showing you Captain Wolfmoon's faithful companion, Dragot. So here's the first 3D print of him. I really love the way the sculpt turned out. Here's the painted first proto. Whoa, okay. Here's the painted first proto from the factory. And here is the most recent prototype from the factory, which inexplicably has this big knobby mold line on it. So that's why you get these from the factory. So you can tell them, okay, look, I don't know what happened here, but that needs to go. And that's exactly what I'll be doing with them before we complete the process. Okay, and that's the figure focus for Captain Wolfmoon. I did want to take a quick little minute here to talk about the Kickstarter and where it's going. So I recently sent out a survey to Facebook and Twitter just to try to capture, why people weren't pledging. And I mean, as you guys can all see from the Kickstarter page, we've got 8 days to go as I'm editing this, and we're at 12%. So we're pretty far away from where we need to be. And I definitely, I'm not going to try to put lipstick on the pig. It's not looking good, but I definitely wanted to just get people's thoughts and opinions about why they weren't going for it. And I'm going to share those at the end of the campaign. I just want to thank everyone who has filled out that survey. If you haven't, you can go to the Facebook page or the Twitter page and on the blog, and you can find the link to that Survey Monkey. I'll also put it in the YouTube notes for this update. And if you want to take the survey, that would be really appreciated, whether you pledge it or not. It'll help determine the future of Eon Quest. And I just want to take a second to thank everybody who has kept on pledging, even in the face of that 12%. It really means a lot, and at this point it's basically just a show of support for this line, these characters. So even if you weren't totally into the toys, hopefully you're liking the characters and the storyline, and it really helps me a lot in determining what I want to do going forward. So thank you very much, and I will see you next time with an update and a look at the Magmoids.